The first thing Daniel noticed was the silence. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that felt staged. His house, once full of noise and small comforts, now felt like a set where something had just gone wrong. He hadn't planned to come home early. Life rarely gives warnings before it shifts. A cancelled meeting, a bad feeling, and suddenly he was standing in his own doorway, keys still in hand, sensing something was off. Then he heard it. Laughter. Familiar. Too familiar. He followed it down the hallway, each step heavier than the last, until he reached the bedroom door slightly ajar. What he saw on the other side didn't feel real at first. His mind tried to rearrange it into something acceptable, something explainable. But truth doesn't bend like that. His wife, Elena, his younger brother, Marcus, and his own mother standing there. Not shocked, not ashamed, just silent. The betrayal wasn't just a knife. It was a slow, crushing weight that collapsed something inside him. No shouting came, no dramatic outburst. Daniel simply stood there long enough for all of them to realize he had seen everything. Long enough for panic to replace whatever twisted comfort they'd been living in. Then he turned and walked out. The days that followed were colder than any anger. Daniel didn't argue, didn't negotiate. He removed. Bank accounts frozen and separated. The house legally secured in his name alone. His business cut Marcus out entirely. His mother no longer welcomed, no longer supported. Elena served divorce papers so efficiently, it felt like she'd never truly been part of his life. They tried to reach him. Calls, messages, apologies that grew more desperate with each passing day. Marcus showed up once, eyes red, voice shaking. It was a mistake. We messed up. Please, just talk to me. Daniel looked at him the way you look at a stranger who asks too much. You stopped being my brother the moment you chose betrayal over blood. The door closed. Elena lasted more than a marriage. Without Daniel's stability, the life she had quietly taken for granted unraveled quickly. The people she betrayed him with didn't become her support system. They became reminders of what she had destroyed. His mother, once proud and authoritative, found herself isolated. The son she assumed would always forgive her never called again. Pride turned to regret, then to quiet desperation. And Marcus lost everything that had once defined him. Career, family, identity. The guilt didn't leave him mid-settled in. Months later, they all stood in different places, but with the same realization. Daniel had moved on. Not loudly, not vengefully, just completely. And that was the karma they hadn't expected. He didn't ruin them. He simply stopped being there to hold them up. One evening, Elena sent a final message. I would do anything to undo it. There was no reply. Because some doors don't slam. They just close and never open again. Time didn't erase what happened. It clarified it. For Daniel, the past had become something distant, like a storm he once survived. He had built a life that no longer depended on people who broke his trust. Peace for him wasn't dramatic. It was steady, quiet, earned. For Elena, the path looked very different. About a year after everything fell apart, Elena's life hit another turning point. A doctor's visit. Unexpected news. A diagnosis she hadn't prepared for. An STD. It wasn't just a physical reality, it was what it represented. A chain of choices. A period of her life she could no longer deny or soften. Treatment helped manage it, but the emotional weight stayed longer than any symptoms. For the first time, Elena stopped blaming circumstances and started facing herself. She withdrew for a while, not out of shame alone, but reflection. Therapy. Honest conversations. A kind of rebuilding that didn't rely on anyone else. One night, she wrote a message she never sent. I thought I was getting away with something. I wasn't. I was just losing everything slowly. I understand that now. She didn't expect forgiveness anymore, but she did finally understand the damage she caused not just to Daniel, but to herself. Marcus matured the hard way. The recklessness that once felt exciting now looked like self-sabotage. He kept his head down, worked where he could, and avoided the kind of decisions that had cost him everything. Daniel's mother carried her regret more quietly. Age softened her certainty, but not the outcome. Some relationships don't recover just because time passes. Daniel never heard the details, and he didn't need to. His life had moved into something better, not perfect, but honest. The kind of life where trust actually meant something again. Elena didn't describe what happened to her as punishment. She called it a wake-up call. Not everything that changes you is meant to break you, but it will force you to see clearly. And sometimes clarity comes too late to fix what's already gone. 3 years later, final chapter time had already taken a lot from them, but it wasn't finished yet. Elena hadn't planned for another life-changing moment. Yet there she was sitting in silence, holding a test result that confirmed it. Pregnant. The news didn't bring joy the way she once imagined it would. There was no stable relationship, no sense of security, only uncertainty layered on top of everything she had already lost. This time, she didn't run from reality. She sat with it, accepted it, and understood something she hadn't before. Every choice echoes. Some echoes become responsibilities you can't walk away from. The situation became even harder to ignore when Daniel's mother revealed her own truth. She, too, was expecting. At her age, it came with risks, complications, and quiet conversations behind closed doors. Doctors, concerns, hard decisions. But more than anything, it brought a wave of reflection she couldn't escape. Life had taken a turn she never could have imagined, and not in a way she could control. Marcus stood in the middle of it all, overwhelmed. The weight of his past decisions had now become something tangible, not just regret anymore, but responsibility. Consequences that would continue forward into the future. For the first time, he fully grasped the scale of what had been broken. Not just relationships, a whole family structure. Daniel eventually heard about it. Not from them, from someone else. The news didn't hit him the way it once might have. No anger, no satisfaction, just distance. He stood there for a moment, processing it, then exhaled and let it go. Life didn't collapse in one dramatic moment for them. It unraveled, and then reshaped itself into something they had to live with. Messy, complicated, real. Meanwhile, Daniel kept moving forward, building something steady, something honest. They were no longer asking for forgiveness. They were learning how to live with what they had created. And Daniel, he had already chosen a different life. So, do you think these scumbags got what they deserve? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one.